What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Gamescript. We're looking at Week 5 Sunday Night Football between the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills, and we have Stefon Diggs returning to Buffalo for the first time since he got traded. And what does that mean for our DraftKings Showdown lineups? I'm going to get into it right after this. What's up, guys? Simon Edwards at PumaCom with Heat Seeker Sports, and you're watching Gamescript. We're looking at the Buffalo Bills versus the New England Patriots for Sunday Night Football, and we got a 49.5-point total with the Patriots as 8.5-point dogs in this one. They're going to Buffalo for this game, and we have, obviously, Josh Allen, reigning MVP. He's been on fire this season. The running game has been on fire for Buffalo, and they are facing off against a New England team where we have a quarterback on the rise in Drake Maye, and he's had a decent year this year. But the problem with tonight's matchup is Buffalo is weakest against the run, and the New England running backs are a mess. And then the Patriots are weakest against the pass, and so we got to figure out that hodgepodge of Buffalo receivers. So we'll get into that. I know some weaknesses on those secondaries that we can target to try to help figure out which guys to put into our lineups tonight. Before I do that, hit the like button. I'm looking for 50 likes to put out my favorite picks in the comment section. I kind of crushed it on the lineup builds for the Sunday morning game. We did the Kayshon Judkins as the captain. That didn't slip by anybody. He was like 24% owned, but I was really high on the tight ends, and both of those guys scored touchdowns, and a few other players that I was high on that ended up doing well, and didn't have any lineups personally with both the tight ends in it, but I had suggested that you could do that when you're building your lineups for that one. So hopefully some of the people who watched ended up doing that and ended up crushing on that. But yeah, really good slate to start off the day. And the Sunday main slate is going really well with some of the picks. So still waiting to see how that comes about. I have the Bengals heavy in the second half of the day, so that's a complete crapshoot. So I'm hoping that the aggressive Lions draw out something out of the Bengals, who have just a banged up secondary for the Lions, for the Bengals to feast on if they're able to get their shit together. So before I get into it too, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Looking for 2,000 subscribers. I need about, I think it was at like 260. So I need about 40 more to get there. I was hoping to get there by the end of week 5. So definitely hit that subscribe button. I've been on fire with these showdown captains. Been on fire with the underdog picks too. I hit 170. I ended up being an 87x return on one of those pick'ems a couple weeks ago, and I've come close on a couple since. I have currently 2 out of 5 with a couple going in the afternoon. I needed to Tommy Tremble touchdown, and we just had the other tight end, a rookie tight end in Carolina, just score a touchdown and snipe that touchdown from us, but still time in that game for something to happen. So we'll see what goes down there. But you want to subscribe too to get access to the secret weapon. Secret weapon is coming out in a couple weeks. It's going to be a research tool that I'm going to give a free beta preview to my YouTube subscribers. So you want to be subscribed to have access to that. So let's get on with it with the showdown analysis. Like I said, we got let's see, what was the total there? We got a 49.5-point total. So we got a super high total. We got 2 quarterbacks that are completely capable of putting up points, but the Bills have an 8.5-point spread in this one, 8.5-point favorites, but it's a divisional game, and both teams are not incompetent. Like the Patriots are not an incompetent team. So anything can happen in a game like this. We've seen these upsets hitting on these showdowns left and right lately, And we want to take that into consideration when we're building our lineups, because when you nail an upset in a showdown, then you are competing against 10 to 20% of the field instead of 80% of the field. And that's ultimately what we want to be doing here. So we can take a look at the matchups and see how New England might be able to pull this one off in Buffalo tonight. So digging into the injuries first, we'll take a look at New England first. We're looking at, fullback is out. One of the right guards is out. Left guard is out too. So a little bit of depth in the offensive line. The problem that we're going to be dealing with tonight is this backfield, and Rhamondre, TreVeyon, and Antonio Gibson. And there was a lot of hype around TreVeyon. He was a highly touted rookie that the Patriots signed, but he hasn't really been able to break out because he's got a roadblock in Rhamondre, who's been playing decent. And last week we saw an even split, and they brought in Antonio Gibson into that split too. So all sorts of issues that we're going to have to figure out, because the weak spot against Buffalo is going to be against running backs. So if we're looking at the defense, we're missing linebacker in Kayshon. We're missing Carlton Davis is questionable. But the good thing about these Patriots is they have both of their outside. If Davis plays, they have both of their outside cornerbacks, which is going to help us narrow it down to the inside receivers for the Bills. And that's going to be guys like Khalil Shakir and the tight ends, Dalton Kincaid, and also guys like Elijah Moore. So guys like that are going to stand out for us, because the linebacker core and the guys who guard the middle of the field have been mainly like low end guys for the Patriots. So it's going to give us an edge there in trying to figure out which pass catchers to stack with Josh Allen tonight. So if we go on to the Buffalo Bills. All right, so on the Bills side, no significant injuries for most of it. The right tackle, we're looking at Spencer Brown questionable, and Tylen Grable is on IR. So a little bit of depth there. For the defense, Michael Holt is suspended. Ed Oliver is questionable. He missed a couple weeks. Matt Milano, I think, missed last week. Those guys are probably Matt Milano is probably part of the reason why the Bills have been vulnerable against the run. Looking at the secondary, we got Hairston on IR, Owens on IR, Dorian Strong on IR. Another linebacker, Dorian Williams, is out. So we're dealing with issues with the linebacker core still. So we should still see some weakness against the running back position. Tyler Bass is on IR. So we got Matt Prater in there as our kicker tonight. So something to keep in mind there. All right, so we've looked at injuries. Let's take a look back now and get into this analysis. So with Josh Allen, the Patriots have been middling against quarterbacks. They've been giving up 16.8 DraftKings points a game. The Buffalo Bills have been giving up 17.4 DraftKings points a game. We look at Allen's game logs. We see a couple 25-point games in there. We did see against the Jets, a division opponent, he only scored 12 DraftKings points. So keep that in mind. The Jets have not had a good defense either this season. So, it's perfectly within the realm of possibility that a defense that is familiar with these Bills is able to slow them down. So keep that in mind when we're building our game scripts tonight. Josh Allen still has the highest floor on the slate. James Cook, the Patriots have been giving up 21.1 DraftKings points on the ground, and the Bills have been giving up 21.8. So a couple middling matchups there, but the Bills have been more vulnerable against the run from you look at an analytical standpoint. But James Cook has been on fire. He's been an efficient runner on top of it. Every week this season, he's gone over 20 DraftKings points, and he's getting a lot more work than we've seen him get in the past. 20 touches in the last few games in a row, and he's been scoring touchdowns in every game too. So James Cook is going to be a hard guy for us to not use tonight. Drake Maye talked about his DraftKings points, but we're looking at 3 weeks in a row over 20 DraftKings points for Drake Maye as well. So Drake Maye has been a guy that's going to be hard to leave on the bench, and he finds himself in a matchup against Buffalo. I think he scored 17 DraftKings points against them last season when he played them. So he's faced this defense already and done pretty well against them. It's going to be another guy who's hard to sit. So we got 3 guys at the top of this price range who are going to be in good spots that's going to be hard to leave out of our lineups, which means we're going to be looking for a cheap captain most likely, or trying to find a dumpster dive guy that can help us out with our builds. Khalil Shakir, talked about him earlier. The Patriots have been most vulnerable in the middle of the field. They got both their stud corners back. So I think that Khalil Shakir is going to be probably the primary target, or these guys that run in the middle of the field are going to be the primary targets for Josh Allen. We can see these past 2 weeks, 18 DraftKings points and 14.5 DraftKings points. And those are, he's just not getting many targets, 9, 2, 4, and 5. So, maybe if they decide to focus on the pass in this one, Shakir will get his opportunities. But the problem with Buffalo is they don't have enough volume and they spread it around too much. So that's why it's hard to figure out these receivers. And we're looking at 8,200 for a salary on top of it, followed by Keon Coleman. I don't know why these guys are so expensive, because they don't do anything. They don't score enough points to warrant their salaries. And that's what makes it difficult for us to build lineups with the Bills in these showdowns, because we can't. They don't make it easy for us to try to figure out. They're forcing us to leave out one of these expensive guys. Stefon Diggs returns home to the Bills, where he was a couple years ago. He went to the Texans from the Bills, and now he is with the Patriots, and he has his first game back in Buffalo. And we'll see how he ends up doing. Last week was his first week where he had a full workload, ended up giving 7 targets for 6 receptions and 100 yards. Has yet to score a touchdown on the season. I would not be surprised if that happened tonight. The Bills have been targeted at a 71% clip to outside receivers, and Diggs has been running, let's see, the Bills have been allowing a 14.7% touchdown rate to outside receivers, and that is where Stefon Diggs has been running over half his routes. So it's going to be a good matchup there for Diggs in this one. So keep that in mind when we're building our lineups. Diggs is another one of these high-priced guys that we're going to want to try to work into our player pools. With Hunter Henry, the Bills have been giving up only 5.4 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. Henry's the second highest targeted guy on the offense. So with Henry neutralized, that would mean even more opportunity for Diggs potentially if Henry gets neutralized. Looking at Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid's another guy in the middle of the field that we want to keep in our player pool. On the Buffalo side, he's at 7,400, so another expensive guy. Kincaid, we've had him in the captain a couple times in these showdowns, and he's come through actually both times that we've had him in the captain. That was the 14.8 week and the 17.6, and then you look at these other weeks, he hasn't done anything. But 6 targets in 2 of the last 3 weeks and a touchdown in 2 of the last 3 weeks. So Dalton Kincaid is definitely in play for us in this game tonight. Henderson is where the problems start on these Patriots running backs. Has not done anything this year. He's another expensive guy that hasn't done anything. And he's got one of the best matchups on the slate. But, how are they going to use him? How much volume is he going to get? We got to worry about that kind of stuff. Boutte was same matchup as Diggs. He's going to be able to get that opportunity for that touchdown share on the outside receivers versus Buffalo. He only had one big week so far with that 19 DraftKings point game. He had 8 targets in that week, and he has not done anything since. So, Boutte's going to be a hard guy to pull the trigger on, but he might be a guy worth keeping in our player pool. We got both kickers in Prater and Borreaga, whatever his name is. Those guys are both in play. Stevenson is the other running back that's getting a decent amount of work, and you saw him get a 21-point game a couple weeks ago. So both these guys are capable of having a decent game, but it's all going to be a matter of how much volume they get and how committed New England is to the running game if they end up pulling away with a significant lead on the Buffalo side. Bills defense, not really in play with me for tonight, but Drake Maye's been getting sacked a ton, so maybe some potential there. They're not that expensive at 4,200. Gibson's that third running back. He ended up with 8.7 DraftKings points. He's had a 9.8. He's at 3,800. Patriots D. They've had a couple good games, 11 DraftKings points and 13 DraftKings points, but that was against Miami and Carolina, two scrubbier teams. So, tough to get the Patriots against this matchup. Palmer is the leading receiver versus man coverage for the Bills, and he's only had one big game, but he's a salary relief guy that we can try to squeeze in if we need him. Has not been getting a ton of targets, but he did get week 1. He did have 9 targets, and that was against Baltimore. So maybe against a man coverage matchup against New England, we'll see him get a decent amount of targets this time. All right, guys. Mac Hollins, he's also making his return to Buffalo. He played with Buffalo a few years ago. Hooper, another one of these tight ends that we could potentially target against New England. I forgot to mention with Kincaid that New England is actually giving up 15 DraftKings points a game. So that's the best DraftKings matchup for a position is against the New England tight end defense. Pop Douglas has not done anything this year. He's at 2K. He used to be one of the most targeted guys. He's 5 targets a couple weeks ago, 7 targets in week 1. He's a guy at 2K who's probably the forgotten man that we could end up getting a decent value on at 2K. Elijah Moore, another one of these guys facing off against New England's middle of New England's field. Another cheap guy for us at 1,800 that we can consider. Biggest game is 3 targets, but he's in the matchup that we like. Dawson Knox, same thing. Same matchup as Dalton Kincaid. We could easily see him sneak out a touchdown in this one for 1,600. And Curtis Samuel, another guy, another slot guy. We have to see if he's going to be active tonight. 2 targets for 9 yards last week, but he's another slot receiver. He's at 1,200. Ty Johnson hasn't really done anything this season so far. Not really interested there, but he has that same matchup. Well, actually, the matchup against the New England run defense isn't that great, so it's a middling matchup. Kyle Williams is a rookie that they drafted this year. Has not really done anything, but he was getting a lot of hype heading into the season, but he's at 1,000. Let's go over and see what some of these usage numbers are looking like. On the Buffalo side, last week saw Elijah Moore, 31% snap count. We like that with a slot guy. Coleman at 73, Khalil Shakir at 53. For a starting slot guy, like we want to see him closer to the 70, but we could see that tonight if the Patriots are able to keep this one close. Palmer at only 25%, Shavers at 25%. Curtis Samuel last week comes back to a 34% snap count. That's important considering his salary. So could be the guy that we want to target for some salary relief. But we also like Elijah Moore. Those will be guys to sprinkle in separately, not together. On the Patriots side, we saw Kyle Williams got his highest snap count yet with 29% last week. Maybe they're feeling a little bit more confident in him. Mac Hollins had his lowest at 49%. So looks like maybe some of the Mac Hollins work is shifting to Kyle Williams. Boutte was at 69%. Diggs at 63%. I would imagine Diggs is going to continue to climb now that he's getting healthier, especially in this matchup. We'll look at tight ends while we're at it. New England, we're looking at 65% for Austin Hooper, 93% or 76% for Hunter Henry. So Austin Hooper is another cheap guy that we can consider. We got Howes at 53%, Dawson Knox at 41%, Kincaid at 37% last week, but he's been at around a 50+% clip. I wouldn't read too much into this for Kincaid, honestly. But let's get back over to our players. Shavers, the guy I talked about. He's only at 800. He could be a salary saver guy with his snap share. 2 targets a couple times. Last time I recommended him, he was only at $200. Ray Davis, 1 rushing attempt last week, 9 in week 2. He was really good last week, and I don't know why he's not getting as much work this year, or he was really good last year. He's at 400. So we have some options in the dumpster if we want to go there, but let's go ahead and start building this thing. Reminder, hit that like button. Give me the 50 likes to put my favorite picks in the comment section when we get closer to lock. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I need 40 more to get to 2,000, and you're going to want to do that to get that free beta preview. And also, make sure to hit that hype button. That hype button helps out big time. I think you might only be able to see it on your phone, but I think I've done it on my desktop as well. But that hype button is something that will accelerate the recommendations in the YouTube algorithm. So I need that help to get these shows a boost. So I appreciate that hype button. I'm going to probably start making the hype button needing like 20 hypes to get the picks, because I haven't been getting a lot of those hype clicks. All right, guys. So if we're starting off here, let's do the chalky thing first. Let's get Allen in there, and let's get May in there. I think those guys are going to be the biggest floors. I mean, if we try to put Cook in there, we're left with 3,300 or 3,500 per guy. If we're scrolling down here, let's go with Samuel. Leaves us with 4,700 per guy. Let's use that to get Kincaid. Well, let's try to put Kincaid in there. We could get Douglas in this one. We could get Elijah Moore. I probably wouldn't want more than one of those scrubby guys on the Bills, and I think we got enough pass catchers for Allen there. So I'd probably lean Douglas or Williams. Give Williams a shot if I was going in this direction. But that gives us an Allen type of build that we can do that works in these expensive guys. If we wanted to fade one of these guys, I think it would be Cook. And we could justify it by saying that Allen is rushing in the touchdowns in this one. We got May in there. Let's get rid of Samuel. Let's put in Diggs. This is with 3,400 per remaining guy. I guess we can put Samuel back in. 5,600. Leaves us with the option like Boutte. Same matchup as Diggs against those outside cornerbacks, or we could get like one of the kickers in there. So a few good options, or we could get Stevenson in there. That gives us a running back that we can play against Buffalo. So kind of like that build, but we have to fade Cook to get there. All right, so let's go cheap here. We'll go with the cheap captain option. We're 2 for 2 with our Kincaid captains. Let's try them again. Let's get our studs in there. Allen, Cook, May. I want Shakir in some of these lineups too, but it's going to be tough to get all these guys in there. Leaves us with 2,750. If we go down to Samuel again, leaves us with 4,300. So, like that way we have a Bills defense option. We got both defenses. We got Josh Palmer. That leaves us with a 5-1 build in Buffalo to New England. We could get Austin Hooper in here with that tough matchup against the Bills. Pop Douglas, we can get in there at 2K. If we put in Douglas and took out Samuel, we get Palmer in there instead of Samuel. Palmer's got that man coverage matchup that I liked. Let's try the same thing with this one. Let's get rid of Cook. Let's say this is more passing touchdowns. And let's get Shakir in there. Let's get one of our scrubby guys in here. Actually, you know what? Let's get Diggs in this one. That leaves us with 900. So if we didn't want Shakir, if I was going away from Shakir, I might go with TreVeyon Henderson. Leaves us with 2,300. So it gives us an option to get one of our cheap slot guys in there as well. So we could get Samuel or we could get Elijah Moore in there. And that fits our narrative for the night. We could swap Kincaid out with Shakir. Leaves us with 1,100. Just shy of Samuel there, but we can get Williams in there. Or we could go with Shavers or a guy like Ray Davis. If we wanted to swap out Henderson for Rhamondre, leaves us with 3,100. We could get Palmer. Hollins, you get like Elijah Moore in there. If we wanted to put Elijah Moore and swap out Stevenson. Yeah, no, I think I prefer it the other way with leaving Stevenson in there and then having 3,100 just to play around with. So a few good builds there for the Buffalo side. Now let's do a New England build. We've seen these upsets hitting. Let's say Diggs comes home to a good homecoming. Let's get May in there, and let's get Allen in there. Let's get Allen his Shakir. Let's give him Knox too, or Kincaid. That leaves us with 700. Let's get Shakir out of there. And let's put in Curtis Samuel. Leaves us with 7,700. So we can get like Henry in there, give May a second pass catcher. We could get Henderson in there to help us tell the story of the running game having some success. You could leave money on the table and go with Stevenson. There's a bunch of ways that we can go there. If we wanted to go with let's go with Stevenson. I think he's going to be next to nothing for his captain ownership. So if we went Stevenson in the captain, we can put Cook back in there. That way we got our 3 studs. We're still telling a story of potentially the Patriots winning this one. We can get Douglas in there, or we could get Moore in there, or Samuel, like one of those guys. Those guys will probably be the cheap, scrubbier guys that I lean towards on this slate. But that should give you guys a pretty good indication of direction for tonight. Again, make sure to hit that like button, hit that hype button. The hype button is almost as much more important than the like button. And then also subscribe to the channel. I'm looking for 2,000 subscribers. So help me get to that point. I only need 40 left. So if you haven't hit it, make sure to hit it. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you for Monday night.